You're pulling down $80,000 a year. In most parts of the country, that's a solid win. You've been responsible. You've skipped the flashy car, you've got a decent nut stashed away, and you're finally ready to stop paying your landlord's mortgage and start paying your own. So it's midnight on a Tuesday, and you open Zillow. You set the filter to houses that aren't actively collapsing, and suddenly your stomach drops. Everything that doesn't look like a crime scene costs at least 400 grand. We're talking laminate countertops from the Bush administration, carpet in that specific shade of landlord beige that screams, "We stopped trying in 1997. There's fake wood paneling in the basement. The roof looks like a topographical map of the Andes. And the listing agent has the absolute audacity to call it a charming starter home. Meanwhile, your bank is blowing up your phone saying, "You're approved." Your realtor is smiling and nodding like a bobblehead. Your parents keep asking when you're finally going to settle down. But here's the cold, hard truth nobody in that circle wants to tell you. You can't actually afford any of these houses. Not really. Not in any way that doesn't turn your life into a decade-long financial horror movie. The system is designed to get you to sign that dotted line, but nobody has an incentive to tell you that you're about to become house poor before the ink even dries. My name is Woof, and today we're going to do something the real estate industry absolutely hates. We're going to calculate what house your salary actually buys you, not what the bank says you qualify for, but what you can legitimately afford without eating ramen for the next 30 years and praying your car doesn't throw a rod. Let's look at the ground floor. The median household income in America right now is hovering around $84,000. On paper, that's the American dream. That's the white picket fence bracket. But the median home price in this country has rocketed to $415,000. Do the math. We are asking families to buy homes that cost 5 times their annual gross income. If that sounds completely unhinged to you, congratulations, you're paying attention. But the world keeps gaslighting you. The mortgage broker says you're good to go. Some finfluencer on TikTok is telling you to house hack your way to a private jet. Your buddy from college just closed on a place, so clearly, you're the one failing, right? Wrong. The problem is that everyone is lying to you about what affordable actually means. In the old world, there was the 28% rule. Your total housing cost, mortgage, taxes, insurance, the works, shouldn't cross 28% of your gross monthly pay. The banks, they don't use that. They'll approve you as long as your total debt-to-income ratio stays under 43%. Think about that gap. The bank's only job is to make sure you don't default immediately. They don't care if you're miserable. They don't care if you can't afford a vet bill or a vacation. They just want to make sure you can scrape together the minimum payment for the next 360 months. That 43% threshold isn't a target for a good life. It's the maximum amount of financial pain they think you can endure before you snap. Wait, it gets worse. Let's look at the hidden math that turns a starter home into a money pit. Say you find a place for $400,000. You've been grinding for 6 years to save a 10% down payment. 40 grand. You feel like a king. You get a loan for $360,000 at a 6.1% interest rate. Your mortgage is $2,100. You think, I can swing that. But you're not even halfway there. Now add property taxes. Depending on your zip code, that's another $450 a month. Then there's homeowners insurance. Thanks to the world getting a lot more chaotic, premiums are skyrocketing. Tack on another $300. And because you didn't put 20% down, you're hit with PMI, private mortgage insurance. That's a monthly fine you pay for the crime of not being born rich. That's another $275. Finally, there's the "oh crap" fund. The rule of thumb is 1% of the home's value per year for maintenance. On a $400,000 house, that's $3,300 a year, or nearly $300 a month. Add it all up, and your $2,100 mortgage is actually a $3,500 monthly burn. To afford that comfortably under the 28% rule, you need to be making $150,000 a year. But the bank, they'll approve you at $98,000. That's a $52,000 catastrophe gap between what the bank says you can do and what reality allows. Only about 20% of American households make $150 grand. That means 80% of the country cannot comfortably afford the average house. This isn't an opinion. It's just math being cruel. Let's look at what happens when you ignore the math and stretch for it. You make $80,000, you put 5% down, and you move in. You feel like you've made it. But after taxes, your take-home pay is about $4,600 a month. Your housing payment eats $3,200 of that. You're left with $1,400 for everything else. Now, subtract your car payment, your groceries, your utilities, your phone bill, and your student loans. Suddenly, you're $1,600 short every single month. You aren't living, you're performing a high-wire act without a net. This is what it means to be house poor. You technically own the dirt, but the dirt owns you. Every time the wind blows too hard or the dishwasher makes a weird noise, your heart rate hits 120. You can't afford to maintain the house, you can't afford to enjoy the house, and you certainly can't afford to leave. You're a tenant in a building you're responsible for fixing. Now, here's the part that'll really make your blood boil. That same $500,000 buys you a completely different universe depending on where you're standing. In San Francisco, $500,000 gets you a 600-square-foot studio where you share a wall with a guy who practices the drums at 2 a.m. In Los Angeles, you're looking at a one-bedroom in a neighborhood where vibrant is code for don't leave your car unlocked. But head to Atlanta, and that same money gets you a 4-bedroom with hardwood floors in a yard. Head to Cleveland, and you're living in straight-up luxury. A historic 4,000-square-foot mansion with a wraparound porch. The income required to buy a median home in San Jose is over $500,000. In Cleveland, it's $63,000. The housing market isn't just broken. It's fragmented into 1,000 different pieces. If you're trying to play the game in a superstar city on a normal salary, you aren't just playing on hard mode. You're playing a game that was rigged before you even sat down. And then there's the parent talk. Your folks keep reminding you that they bought their first place when they were 24. What they don't realize, because they're looking through the fog of nostalgia, is that they lived in a completely different economic dimension. In 1980, the median home cost 3 times the median income. Today, it's 5 times. Your parents were buying houses that cost 3 years of their life. You're being asked to trade 5 or 6. They'll tell you, but our interest rates were 18%. And they're right, the monthly payments were brutal. But the purchase price was reachable. They could save a down payment in 2 years, not 10. And when rates dropped, they refinanced and laughed all the way to the bank. You can't refinance a massive purchase price. Plus, they didn't graduate with $40,000 in student debt. Their car payment wasn't $700. They could buy a house on a single income while one parent stayed home. Today, you need 2 high earners just to get a maybe from the underwriter. The median age of a first-time buyer has jumped from 28 in the 90s to 40 today. We've pushed the starting line of adulthood back by 12 years. Let's talk about the silent killers that hit you after you get the keys. The mortgage is just the cover charge. Recent data shows that hidden annual costs, maintenance, utilities, taxes, average over $21,000 a year. That's an extra $1,800 a month just to keep the lights on and the water out. And then there's the insurance crisis. Premiums have jumped nearly 50% since 2020. If you're in Florida or Louisiana, you might be paying $1,200 a month just for insurance. Climate change isn't a future problem for your grandkids. It's hitting your escrow account right now. Insurers are projecting 8% hikes every year for the foreseeable future. Then you've got property taxes. In New Jersey or Texas, you're paying $6,000 to $9,000 a year forever. These aren't optional. You can skip a vacation, but you can't skip the tax man. If you're already stretched thin, these surprises are what lead to foreclosure. Finally, let's look at the down payment treadmill. 20% down payment on a median home is $83,000. The average household saves about 5% of their pay, roughly $4,000 a year. At that rate, it takes 21 years to save for a down payment. Even if you're a super saver putting away $1,000 a month, it'll take you 7 years. But here's the kicker. While you're saving, home prices are climbing 4% a year. The target is moving. You're trying to catch a bus that's accelerating away from you. And if you're waiting for a crash to save you, don't hold your breath. Inventory is at historic lows because 80% of current homeowners have a mortgage rate under 5%. they aren't selling. If they sell, they have to buy at 6% or 7%. So they're staying put, which keeps supply low and prices high. It's a feedback loop with no exit ramp in sight. So where does this leave you? Let me be the one to say what your realtor won't. If you're making $100,000 and looking at a $500,000 house, you need to stop. Just stop. You are about to make a decision that will dominate every waking hour of your life for the next decade, and not in a good way. I don't care what the bank says. I don't care that your parents think you're falling behind. The math is screaming at you and you need to listen. You have options, but none of them involve buying a house you can't afford. You can move. Geographic arbitrage is the only way many people are winning right now. You can buy way less house, optimize for your bank account, not for what people think when they drive by. You can house hack, get some roommates, buy a duplex, let someone else pay the mortgage. Or you can wait. You can keep renting, keep saving, and wait for your income to catch up to your ambitions. There is no trophy for being house poor. There is no prize for owning a pile of bricks that makes you miserable. You are not failing at home ownership. The system is failing you. A $500,000 house is not a starter home anymore. It's a luxury asset. You have permission to look at the numbers, see the insanity for what it is, and walk away. That isn't a failure. That's intelligence. That's reality. Your salary buys you a lot less house than you think it does. And realizing that might be the most important financial move you ever make.